Well, you joined me on a very, very cold Saturday in November. I've come down to one of my absolute favourite places in the world. This is an absolutely gorgeous lake in Oxfordshire, which I've been fishing for years and years. I'm intending to go somewhere else tomorrow. I've got 2 rods out at the moment. I'm intending to put a third out. But at the moment I just wanted to get fishing before I started this little video diary, if you like. I'm not actually used to being on this side of the lens. I'm very lucky to usually be on the other side of the lens working for Korda, Embryo and Guru. And last year I intended to almost do a bit of an update really as to where my job's taken me, some of the highlights if you like, and never really got round to it. As I say, I've got 2 rods out. I'm doing the night here tonight. I haven't chosen this swim just to be carpy. It's the best swim in the lake in the winter. I'm fishing basically to the back of the island. That's where I believe they seem to live when it gets much colder, so that's where I'm going to be fishing. Instead of from much further over on the other side of the lake and long chucking over, which I usually do, I'm going to stay in this swim. A very short chuck to this island here because they patrol up and down. So the plan is to kind of give you a bit of an insight into some of the things I do, some of the bits that I've really enjoyed over the last year. Last year was absolutely mental with Monster Carp. We went like all over the world really, went to Japan, went all over Europe. And that, I should have done an update last year really because there's loads of funny bits and stuff that happen on that. But yeah, years passed, it all goes very quick. So the plan is actually to do the night here tonight, do this little video bit here. I really want to try and catch a fish for you guys. This place has got some awesome wildies, really scaly mirrors and stuff in. An overused phrase, but this place really is not fish. The last time most of these fish have been a human is probably in my hands years ago. I don't know why I keep coming back because I've conquered it in a way, but you know, you've got to go with what feels good, and I love this place. Really peaceful, no one's ever down here. It's a members lake, but it's very, very quiet. Tomorrow, depending on how it goes tonight, I'm going to go to a sailing lake a bit further away in Oxfordshire, just for the day. There's no nights there, and it's completely different to this. I'm not in a tight little swim like this. It's a big, vast open reservoir, about 15, 16 acres. I've got some amazing fish in. As I say, days only. You've got to be on them to catch them. And this year, whenever I come past, I try and nick a few hours minimum, you know, on that lake. And this year I've had quite a few cool fish as well as the big one last year. So that's going to be the plan. It's evening here, and tomorrow I'm going to be at the lake. And along the way, I'm going to kind of give you a few insights into some of the stuff I've been doing. Winter's quite a funny time for anglers and people working in the media because the days are short. You know, the fishing is harder. The conditions are really bad sometimes. It gets freezing cold. You get your lenses steam up, loads of rain. But the short days and the hard fishing is the main thing. Last year, a really standout session for me was I went out with my mate Elliot Gray. We were fishing at a lake near where he lives. We're just doing a sort of technical piece, little film. And again, very short days, very cold, not much hope really. It feels like sometimes at that time of year. And out of the blue, you know, his rod absolutely tore off. Although I've seen lots of fish landed in this job, for some reason this one, I felt like the buzz almost as much as he did. You know, usually you're kind of a spectator when you watch someone else catch a fish, but I really felt like I'd caught it, you know. It was absolutely gorgeous common. I can't remember what it was like mid-30 I think. It was just an absolute cheese to catch out the blue like that.
Oh, Jack's loving it, look, he's come down to do a video. Thought we was going to smash a load of pasties out and just rocked out a big one.
On the theme of it being absolutely freezing cold, probably the hardest shoot I've been on in the last couple of years was Masterclass. It was meant to be a spring fishing piece. It was Dan and Daryl, you know, their little odysseys, and they go for like a real challenge and usually go and tear it up. Yeah, we went out fully equipped, North Germany, essentially like not far from South Denmark. We expected it to be, you know, the fish had woken up, just a nice sort of gentle break into spring, quite warm at times, and try and pick off all these fish. And as we drove up there on the mammoth drive to get there, we watched the temperature gauge just plunge and plunge and plunge, and by the time we got there it was absolutely freezing, and I think myself, Scott and Mike all kind of looked at each other and thought this is going to be a difficult week. That night, instead of going out and fishing, Dan and Darryl decided to set up camp where we'd parked up, just look for fish initially, and just ready ourselves for the next day, get the boats ready because there'd be a lot of boating around on this lake. And when we woke up in the morning, it was, well, I knew something was up because I woke up at about 4 or 5 in the morning. It gets bright really early then, gets bright very late at that time of year, and it was like there was a light on outside the bivvy, and it was very, very cold. So I kind of unzipped it, and I couldn't believe it. It snowed. There was tons of snow. we weren't going to go back home. We had to continue, the shoot, and we set off, into our different swims for this week. Me and Daryl ended up in this swim, which we called the Swamp. It was incredibly thick mud, and it was just a very cold, very demanding week of filming. Loads of laughs. Luckily, Daryl makes tons of teas. Every morning he'd have the kettle going for me to keep me going, and we had some amazing fish. Didn't really prepare us for how many fish we'd have later on in the weeks we'd come back, but yeah, it was an amazing session. Right, I'm going to get my brolly and stuff up. It's absolutely it's getting cold, and there seems to be some rain coming in, which wasn't meant to occur. So hopefully I'll have a fish to update you with shortly.
I haven't fished many waters with crayfish, but this one I certainly have, and I've found a simple and effective way to fish through them. Depending on the range, I catapult or spom a liberal amount of tinned sweet corn and sometimes crushed boilie out. Over the top, I fish a highly attractive, critically balanced plastic bait. Dumbbells or fake corn are perfect, but I permanently soak them in pineapple supreme, ready for the occasion. Using stiff and durable materials, in this case, a quick change rig made out of the new boom material. You know your rig's going to be fishing all night.
Well, good morning. If I look a little bit dishevelled, it's because I am. Very cold night last night, very clear, very starry sky, bright moon, and I thought, this isn't going to go very well. But about 4:30, 5 this morning, this ripped off, and yeah, as you can see, absolutely lovely carp, very small. It'd be much nicer if he was about 4 times the size. There's some better ones in here, but this is the sort of, the grade that they look like, real wild, very angry. Absolutely nailed on that crayfish rig with the stiff boom section. The actual hook bait had been gnawed a little bit, hair stop had gone, but the rubber dumbbells and bits of corn had stayed on, staying around long enough to catch this little guy. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to get him back, I'm going to pack down, and I'm going to head to the reservoir. I'm a little bit worried that it's going to be hard to catch there because it's a lot deeper, the water, but got to be in it to win it. And yeah, going to get over there, move around, try and catch another one for you.
After slogging the barrow to the car over waterlogged and icy fields, it was time to treat myself to some concrete.
Right, well, I'm all set up on location 2 at the reservoir. As you can see, it's a little bit of a change of scenery, incredibly cold, not much bankside vegetation anywhere to be seen, but there's wicked fish in here, and that's all it takes really for me to want to go and fish for them. So on the way here, I actually had a bit of a mare, and I busted the rod tip. The second time this year that I've done that, not in the same way, but that's why I buy kind of middle range rods, because I give them a bit of punishment, and if I break a tip section, it's not the end of the world. That's my top tip of the week, is to make sure your rods aren't hanging off your barrow when you're going up a hill. This lake, well, there's no crayfish here, which is a bonus, but I'm actually fishing pretty similar to the way I was back at my syndicate last night and this morning. You don't have to cast too far here to get to deep depths, so catapult or throwing stick is more than enough. There's no need to start spomming the hell out of it and scaring the fish off. There's not tons in here, and I think once they start moving, you've lost them. So at the syndicate this morning, I was doing the same, which was putting out loads of sweet corn over my little plastic dumbbell bait. If the corn gets eaten, so be it. The smell's left in the water, and there's lots of bits of particles lingering around, still enough to bring the fish down, to possibly get a bite. So I've had a few fish here in the past. Today I've kind of flicked out a few pop-ups, a few catapults of boilies and things. Usually I try and be quite mobile, but today, with the cold and things, I'm actually quite stationary today. I haven't seen any shows, so rather than chase something I haven't seen or I don't know where it is, and I don't know what the bite time is, I'm going to sit it out in one of my favourite sort of parts of the lake. I've had some great success here in the past, given that I don't get to fish it much. You know, usually if you catch one from here, it's quite an old fish and there's a good chance it's going to be a 20. There's a few fish that have come through where it successfully spawns at different points over the years. I don't think it's ever been stocked. And yeah, occasionally you might get the odd smaller one, but you know, that's all good with me that there's some regeneration going on. Talking of spawning and you know, survival of fish, brings me on to one of my other highlights from this year was actually going down to Simon Scott's VS Fisheries farm. Obviously Simon knows just about everything there is to know about carp really. I was down there filming some stuff for embryo and some stuff for Korda. Obviously you get to pick his brains about things. Me, Stu and Matt were down doing some stuff for embryo, and obviously you end up all looking over the fish tanks and having a look at all the little goodies that he's kind of got in the pipeline, different sizes, and you know, it's a good opportunity to ask some interesting questions. And it's always perplexed me a little bit why some lakes fish don't successfully spawn at all. Well, the young don't come through. You don't end up seeing small carp swimming around. Others do massively every single year. There's tons and tons of fish that are born from the spawn, if that's the phrase. Simon kind of showed me a totally different angle in terms of predation on carp, which really opened my eyes. He actually was doing some work at the farm, and he had this little tray aside, this little glass tray where he had kind of collected all these odd predators he'd picked up in the tanks. And we made a little video out of it. It was very BBC country file, but yeah, it was. I thought it'd be interesting, and I think lots of other people did as well. That you know, you had your larvae and all these different types of you know, stick insect sort of looking things, and all sorts of bugs that to us just seem very insignificant, but to a very small carp, they can kill thousands of them in a week. So it's no wonder that some lakes, you know, a few carp sometimes get through, and others they're just totally killed off altogether, because from day one it's a bit of a gauntlet for baby carp once they've spawned. So another massive highlight of this year was the Obsession series coming out, something that we filmed last year as a little side project. And yeah, with Simon Scott, you know, I'm an absolutely unapologetic, shameless fanboy of Simon Scott. If I speak to him for 15 minutes about fishing, you know, I'm absolutely raring to go for, you know, months and months and months of angling. I'm really into my stalking. I like to see things up close and personal, you know, who doesn't? Filming that film with him at Sandhurst was a real standout thing for me. He's been one of my angling heroes for years and years, and to go out and do that film with him was a lot of fun. And you know, we've all put a lot of work into that, and it was to kind of make that film with one of your angling heroes. It was like a real inspiration for me. So I was dead chuffed to have done it. As for the rest of my session, well, it's about an hour and a half until dark. It's absolutely freezing. I'm going to sit it out, hopefully try and snare one before dark. If not, then enjoy your fishing, and I'll update again soon.